A lot of people are rightly upset with the state of YouTube titles and thumbnails. Some of them literally just lie to try to get you to click on the video, promising something that ends up just being completely untrue or not even completely related to the topic of the video. This is extremely frustrating as a viewer, and I totally understand that. But as a content creator, I also get comments that are critical of titles and thumbnails for being too clickbaity. And like, this is one of the ones that's actually phrased somewhat nicely, but I'm surprised your thumbnail didn't have another picture of your face in it. Great job. So, I mean, this one's phrased positively, like, hey, good job. Didn't have to look at your face today in the thumbnail. But some people, I think, find like even things like having a face in a thumbnail is too much clickbait for them. So let's talk about this for a second. First of all, why put my face in a thumbnail? Well, the thing is that it generally actually just performs better. So one interesting thing that as a viewer of YouTube, you may or may not be aware of is within the last, I don't know, year or two, something like that, and different content creators got access to this at different times, YouTube actually added the ability for creators to upload up to 3 thumbnails for the same video simultaneously. And then it shows some people one thumbnail, some people another thumbnail, and then it decides which one is the winner and will automatically switch over to the one that's a winner if it generates a statistically significant, better return. Now, what you can see here is a video. This was my Battlefield 6 PC system requirements analysis video I just posted a couple of days ago, where I have the exact same thumbnail. It's a screenshot from the game, "Is your PC ready?" as the caption. And then I have that exact same thumbnail with my stupid face in it. And by the way I make those, so a lot of times I'll load up something related to the video, like the screenshot for the game, and I'll literally just kind of go like this for a while, making faces at the camera as a video file, and then I'll just like kind of go through the video until I get to a silly looking one, and I'll freeze the video, screenshot that, and then kind of adjust that to make the thumbnail. So anyway, why do I do that? Well, this one won. Now, that significantly, well, let's look at this. So first of all, how do you determine what actually is a thumbnail that is a winner? Because notice that YouTube, when they do this thumbnail comparison test, does not measure click-through rate directly as deciding what's the winner. And this is what I think a lot of creators and viewers who think about this actually think is the number one thing you want in a thumbnail. And it is by far one of the most important things in a video. It's the click-through rate, the click-through percentage, meaning when a viewer is presented your video's title and thumbnail on their screen alongside other videos, what percentage of the time do they click on yours? It's extremely important for the success of a video. However, that's not the exact metric that's being used here. The metric that's being used here is watch time share. So when they're presenting these titles and thumbnails out into the algorithm, presumably with an even weighting initially, which one actually ends up with people watching YouTube longer, that video specifically. Here's how the tooltip itself actually describes the test. So it says, how is the winning thumbnail selected? The winning thumbnail generated the highest share of a video's watch time. Why is watch time share used? Great thumbnails don't just get viewers to click, they also help viewers understand what the video is about so that they can make informed decisions about what to watch. By selecting based on watch time share, the winning thumbnail is the one that gets viewers to both click and stay to watch. So if you have a thumbnail that actually gets clicked at a slightly lower percentage, but it actually maybe better communicates the topic of the video so that the people who are actually interested in watching the video click on it and then stick around and watch a lot of the video, that could end up performing better than a thumbnail that, maybe just explicitly lies to you. And then, but people instantly realize they've been lied to, and then they don't actually stick around and watch the video. So that's the idea here. Now, also from YouTube's perspective, people get confused about the YouTube algorithm and what it does, right? Like the YouTube algorithm is designed from YouTube's perspective to maximize watch time. all these apps and websites and everything, what they are competing for is the viewer's time. It's your attention, because it's there to serve you advertisements. And the longer you're tuned into the platform, the more ads that they can serve you. That's what they're after. They're after your time. So, again, by measuring watch time share, they're wanting people to not just click on a video and then get frustrated and leave the platform. They're wanting people to click on the video and stick around to watch it. So that is important. But again, why are people clicking on one with my face more than one without my face? Honestly, this must just be some basic human thing. I mean, honestly, like when you think about it though, a thumbnail is being presented on your YouTube homepage, right? When you log in, because most people don't watch videos from notifications that pop up or even from their subscription tab. It's usually from the homepage. So you log into your YouTube app, you log into your website for YouTube on your PC, and there's a certain number of thumbnails, but not really all that many that fit on that initial page. That's where people need to see something that grabs their attention and click on it. And as a creator, you want it to be yours that they click on. And from the YouTube algorithm's perspective, they're not going to bother showing something that people aren't likely to click on. So in other words, if I, as a content creator, choose to go with the one without my face in it just because I feel like that's a more respectable thing to do, it's very likely that you as the viewer will never even be presented that one if it has a much lower click-through percentage. Now, this one's not massively different, so I probably could have gone with either one and it wouldn't have been a disastrous result. But you need to understand that, right? Like, so if people are looking for channels that don't make stupid faces in the thumbnail, the thing is, those channels exist, but people aren't clicking on them, which means that YouTube is not recommending them. And I'm not just saying this broadly. I'm not saying that's absolute truth in every single case, but that's the point. The point is that YouTube algorithm is going to serve up the limited space on that website page for the videos that you are most likely to click and then stick around to watch. That's what it's trying to measure, and that's what's choosing the winners and losers in the YouTube algorithm. The algorithm doesn't actually decide the winner. The algorithm measures the winner to try to match up certain viewers with certain content and find what they're going to stick around and watch. In the end, it's the viewers who decide what they click on and what they stick around to watch. That's what ends up actually having the power in the long run here. Now, that being said, with the thing about faces in particular, like I'm surprised your thumbnail didn't have another picture of your face in it. Great job. And again, I'm not, like, honestly, this person phrased it kindly. That's why I'm leaving their name in it and like kind of using this as an example, but a nicer one. There's a lot of much less nice examples of this. So this is fine. This is phrased perfectly okay. I understand what you're saying. Trying to influence, you know what's going on here. The problem is one person making a comment like this versus statistically significant results. Which one is the content creator going to go with? But like I said, though, that actually a lot of my most successful videos don't have a picture of my face in them. So if we go to just my channel page, sort videos by popular, which ones are getting the most views? Oftentimes they don't have my face in it. In fact, in this initial set here, the only one with my face in here is I switched to AMD from NVIDIA after 1.5 months regret. Now this, though, gives another, way that you can get thumbnails clicked on where I think it is legitimate, because the title and thumbnail do make it very clear what the topic of the video is. The topic of the video is I literally did switch from using an NVIDIA GPU for a long time to using an AMD GPU, and I was deciding, I was actually, the entire video was talking through the pros and cons of making that switch. So I had used it for 1.5 months, and I put that word regret, question mark. So, but this grabs attention, right? There needs to be a reason for someone to click on the video. And so a lot of times you need it to have some level of question that somebody wants answered. Ooh, was there regret? I've been thinking about getting an AMD GPU, right? There's that kind of a thing. But I've also noticed, though, that with a lot of videos, if they're not being served up mostly viewed in the homepage, if they're instead used as a search result, that this actually can behave very differently. So that's another important thing to note, which is that YouTube, a lot of the views come from the homepage, and it's serving up stuff that it wants you to click on, just generated on general interest to you. A lot of my views, long-term views, on my GPU review content comes from search traffic. You can actually look at this when you look at the analytics and look at what percentage of your views come from the homepage versus your subscription feed versus search traffic. And I've noticed that that videos targeted at search traffic, oftentimes I don't need my face in it because the people might not have any idea who I am anyway. And they also don't necessarily need to have some kind of mystery to them. Although it helps to have something like, is $200 worth it to spend on this upgrade? That kind of thing. Did NVIDIA lie? So still putting some kind of question in that. But in general, oftentimes it's enough just to make it clear that this video will answer the question you're searching for. So when you're targeting something at search content versus just homepage content, I think that things behave a little bit differently, because a lot of times these videos, these side-by-side GPU reviews that I do, initially don't actually get very many views. They actually perform kind of poorly from a click-through rate perspective with my core audience, but then they just continue to get views for years over time as people search for this specific GPU comparison. So that's important to note. Now, that being said, there's other ways to kind of generate interest in something, again, without having your face necessarily stuck in it. Right? Like, for example, where's a video I did kind of recently that did kind of well with this? So you don't understand FPS. 30 FPS, 40 FPS, 60 FPS, 40 FPS is the exact middle, right? So that's a way to generate interest, because people are like, wait a minute, 45 is the middle between 30 and 60. What does he mean 40 is the exact middle? Now, the overall topic of the video wasn't specifically why 40 FPS in some certain context could be considered the middle between 30 and 60. Specifically, it's the harmonic mean, and it's an even number of milliseconds of frame time going from 30 up to 40, from 40 up to 60. So there is a way that goes in there, but again, that's a way to generate some kind of interest in the video. So that's really what's important, I think, with video titles and thumbnails, is there needs to be something about it that catches the eye, generates interest, and makes you want to click on it. If it's a search content, it can just be like, hey, look, this video is going to answer the exact question you're searching for. But if it's more general homepage browse traffic, where like videos like this one are coming from, it doesn't have to be a face, but it needs to have something that's kind of eye-catching. It just turns out that measurably, oftentimes a face is kind of eye-catching. A face, oftentimes, I really just think this is just basic human perception. Like, if you look into perception stuff, like humans are so attuned to human faces. We'll oftentimes see faces in random stuff that doesn't really have a face. Like, you know, this waffle looks like the burn pattern on it looks like Jesus or Elvis or something, right? Like, people are finding faces and stuff that doesn't have faces. Like our human perception is attuned to human faces. So if you're scrolling through that homepage content and you see these two thumbnails, the one with a human face in it is just likely to draw your eye to that. So this is just one kind of silly example that doesn't mean that every thumbnail has to have a human face in it. But if you compare two thumbnails that are otherwise pretty similar, if one has a face and one doesn't, it's actually very likely that having that face will draw your eye to that more so than the other one and get a statistically significant larger amount of clicks on it. So anyway, you know, I could go way more into my thoughts on clickbait and whatnot. And I think in general, I do kind of think that there's, it's kind of a catch-22, because like, from YouTube's perspective, obviously, what you want is the YouTube algorithm needs to present you content on your page that you are most likely to click. The problem is that unfortunately, things like just outright lies that look shocking, or other examples like rage bait, right? Getting things that make people angry. If people see something that makes them angry, oftentimes they are likely to click on that. And so I think that just as general thoughts on like society and the state of the world, I think that unfortunately the fact that we have all of this algorithmically driven content does lead to overly sensationalized titles and thumbnails to stand out and get clicked. You are not going to get served up in the YouTube algorithm if people don't click on your video, right? So you need to put something dramatic in there. And that does mean that oftentimes titles and thumbnails become the most dramatic thing they can be, whether that's negative, whether that's borderline or literally outright lies or and deception, and that absolutely does succeed in the YouTube algorithm. So I will say that for me, I absolutely believe that my channel could get more views if I went more down the line of just following exactly what YouTube tells me is successful blindly. But I do have some of my own just set of standards. My channel is successful enough. I don't need to pursue every little bit of thumbnail and title optimization, going to the borderline or explicitly lying or deception in thumbnails, making it completely unclear what the topic of a video is, that kind of thing. I just don't feel good about that. So I'm setting my own level of standards. But if I was less scrupulous on that, I could probably get even more views, because unfortunately that is the state of algorithmically generated content. But like, I can't really blame YouTube or other sites for the type of algorithms they do, because they're not doing anything that you wouldn't expect them to do. They just want to maximize how long people are on their platform. They're doing that. But people are gonna, click on things and watch them that grab their attention and generate strong emotions. So unfortunately, there's a lot of rage bait out there. There's a lot of deceptive stuff, and I don't think that's a good thing overall. But anyway, there's at least my thoughts on titles and thumbnails, since you do get a lot of comments on that as a YouTube creator, and I figured I'd do a updated take on that. Yes, is my face going to be in some titles and thumbnails? Yeah, well, not in titles, I guess. Sorry, in thumbnails. Yeah, oftentimes in the style of thumbnail that I'm doing, it's just measurably better on that. Also, a lot of times people are like, why'd you change the thumbnail of the video? Oftentimes I didn't. There was just 2 or 3 different thumbnails for the video when I posted it, and one of them performed noticeably better than another. So YouTube just automatically switched to the one that's performing better. And then you see that. It might not have been the one you initially saw. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes here. It's one of the biggest things to actually being successful on YouTube is learning how to make titles and thumbnails. And I don't think I'm even that good at it, but apparently it's successful enough anyway to where my channel's at a point where I'm happy with it, and I'm not crossing any crazy borderlines on what I deem personally acceptable to my standards. Sorry if it doesn't meet your standards, but we've all got to draw the line where we're comfortable with it as content creators. I hope all of you have an excellent day.